do I feel good this afternoon. And just like my man James in the chat says, this show officially starts a weekend for me and for all of us. Let's go. This is the Week 13 Early Edge NFL Props Extravaganza. And you know, when it's Week 13, it gets tougher and tougher in this space to call your shots. So what do? You call in three of the absolute very best that do this for a living, and we all do it together. So, AB, if you don't mind, bring in the stars of the show. And the crew is back after a 1-week hiatus. Look who I have. EC is here. Proppy is here. And Uncle Dave, live from Florida, is here. Gentlemen, missed you all last week. Dave, how was your week off last week?
Week off was good, a little hectic, at the in-laws, lots of kids, lots of family, you got to go do this, honey. You got to do that, honey. And that was coming from my father-in-law. It was weird that he called me honey.
Yeah.
But we're good. We're getting back into the swing of things, and we've got some props that we really, really like.
All right. Well, EC, you don't have that issue with all the little kids running around, do you?
I was going to say that's the opposite of my life right there, Coach. Everything that Dave just said, I'm the opposite. So, hey, more power to you, Dave.
Well, my man, me and Proppy have been here since day one on this prop show. Great to see you back after a week off. Proppy, how are you?
Coach, I'm good. I'm fired up. I need to apologize to the chat. I'm a little bit under the weather, but we're going to go with the Michael Jordan flu game today, Coach. I'm feeling very confident about my picks, and instead of little children running around, Coach, I have little cats running around.
Well, we do love Goose, and we love all the cats in there. But I had buckets on the morning show. It's kind of the same exact thing. Same exact thing. I got kids running around all over the place. By the way, Ben A62 says, I missed the morning show live. Wasn't going to miss the afternoon show. That's what I'm talking about. By the way, how about a shout-out to your other half, EC, Frick and Frack. Half of Frick and Frack got recognized today. If you saw the tweet, top 30 under 30. Are you proud of your boy?
Coach, I don't mean to insult you or anyone else, but Spector's the smartest guy that I know. So I'm so proud of him. He's a genius. He's like a computer. I mean, he's got more. He is a genius.
I'm
so proud of him, though.
Did I say anything?
I
was just sitting here listening.
I'm so proud of him. Did you see who's on that list, Coach? Anthony Edwards, Lamar Jackson's on that list. Ronald Acuna Jr. and Spector. Seriously, that's the list. Go check it out.
He's amazing. Everybody keeps asking about him in the chat. He will be back. I just don't know when, but he's very, very busy. As you can see, he's one of the top 30 under 30, whatever that is. We're so incredibly proud of him. Specty, we love you, buddy. All right. Now, gentlemen, we got a lot to get to. And I can always count on one of the three of you to come out of the gate strong. Give me something I can really sink my teeth into. A blue blood type of pick. EC, what do you got to start in the special teams category?
Are you sure you meant to lead into this prop with that intro?
Maybe
very nice, Coach. Yeah, I was going to say, you might have made a mistake on that lead-in. Listen, we're going with Matt Gay over 1.5 field goals at minus 135. I love to go with field goal kickers against Tennessee. So Gay had 3 of them against the Titans in week 5. Last week was the first time since week 4 that a team did not kick multiple successful field goals against Tennessee. It's because they were playing Carolina. It was, 1-10? Yeah, it makes sense why. The over is 9-2 against the Titans as far as a team kicking multiple field goals against them. They've given up 28 made field goals in 11 games, and Matt Gay is over this in 5 of his last 7. Seems like a good formula to hit this week, even at a little chalkier, a little juicier, less juicy price, whatever you want to phrase it. Minus 135 is not my favorite price, but it seems like an easy winner, right, Coach?
Yeah, every time you see easy winner, that means it's not an easy. Did we hit this last night, by the way?
I should have known better.
Did we?
Should have known. We did actually last night.
Yeah.
The under. Yeah, he kicked no field goals. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had an under field goal prop last night. I almost quit on the spot. I was like, this goes against everything I believe in, Dave, is under 1.5 field goal prop that cashed. Do you feel like I kind of feel like this is your space, Dave? I'm offended for you. Are you?
No, I'm glad to dump this mantle right into EC's lap and let him become the kicker guy.
You're the kicker guy that never gets invited to the parties, that never gets invited to the training table.
Accurate.
Kicker's over there.
Mm-hmm.
As Peyton Manning used to say. As Peyton Manning would say, he's just a kicker. All right. Now, many of you ask me every single day, where do we make these field goal bets? Actually, nobody asked me that, but I know you're thinking it. Now, new BetMGM customers right here, right now, can sign up today and get $200 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you will receive $200 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of your wager's outcome, with bonus code EDGE200. That is bonus code EDGE200. And I can tell you this, in true honesty, that because of all of you at home, we are now actively in negotiations with BetMGM to move forward together just because of you. Couldn't do it without you. All right, all of the odds here on the early edge provided by BetMGM. So let's move over to rushing props. And probably this is where you walk in. And it's hard to believe that the Steelers are very much alive in the playoff discussion, and yet the Chargers have become an absolute dumpster fire. But yet you have one on each, and we're fading one, and we're playing one. You're up.
It is an interesting contrast, Coach. And yeah, starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers, going to go with Najee Harris over 13.5 rushing attempts. If you're a SportsLine subscriber, you'd know that I put this on the site already, gave it out at 12.5. I still think it's playable at 13.5. A lot of the hype and the talk has been surrounding Jaylen Warren. We've seen his role in Pittsburgh's offense continue to grow, but Najee Harris is quietly having a pretty productive season, and that's been kind of one of the lone pluses for this Pittsburgh offense has been their ground game. It's certainly the focal point of their offensive attack, and we've seen Najee Harris continue to produce very well. He's only been under a 50% of the carries attempt share one time this season. He's cleared this in 7 of his last 9 games. He's also cleared this in 6 of 7 Pittsburgh victories this season. The reason that's relevant, in my opinion, is because Pittsburgh are 5.5-point favorites against the Cardinals, who have one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL this year. I expect a heavy concentrated dose of both Harris and Warren, and I expect Harris to easily eclipse this number, end up somewhere north of 15 rushing attempts. And then I'm going to fade Austin Eckler against the Patriots. The Patriots quietly have the best run defense, according to EPA, in the NFL this season. We're going to go under a 51.5 rushing yards. It's been a disaster for New England, but the one thing they've done well is they've been a very good run defense, and the Chargers, frankly, just have not been able to run the ball effectively or efficiently. Eckler is averaging under 4 yards per carry. He also doesn't look 100% to me. He lacks his normal lateral quickness and burst, averaging less than 4 yards per carry, and he's really best utilized out of the backfield as a receiver. So I just don't see a lot of rushing volume from this Chargers team, who's facing a New England defense who's primarily a pass funnel as well. So I just think 52 yards is a pretty big ask, especially against this New England very stout rush defense, Coach. That's why we're going to fade Austin Eckler here.
And somehow the Chargers are favored by 6 in this game. They have been awful. Absolutely awful. Love this play. I'm seeing like 17-13, something like that in that particular game. By the way, Bob T says, AB, how do we find the early edge parlays on BetMGM? You guys keep bringing up. Well, Bob, we put those together ourselves. Right now, there is not an official early edge parlay of the day. We're working on that. But EC always puts his own together, so that's what we've been doing. Every bet that you see, you can find on the site. Just put them together, and that's how you come up with the number. So that's how you do it. Just put the pieces together. So you got to pay attention and have your paper and your pencil ready. There you go. Just like you have to be ready for our next superstar. Uncle Dave is ready to go. He has not 1, not 2, but 3 plays in the rushing department. And Dave, are you surprised at all? And maybe you aren't, that because of the Titans' just dismal play lately, we're seeing numbers for Derrick Henry we haven't seen in years. Does that surprise you?
No, because he's getting up there in age and he's struggling a little bit. The offensive line isn't as good, but it's not going to stop me this week in rolling with him. I'm going to take the over on his rushing, Coach, 62.5 yards. He tends to play well whenever the Titans are in a competitive game, not a blowout. So, for example, Henry has, let me pick a number out of thin air here, 63 or more rush yards in 4 of his past 6 games. The 2 games he didn't have 63 rush yards, total blowout loss for the Tennessee Titans. Indy, by the way, just 2 blowout wins so far this season. This should not be a bad game script for Derrick Henry. Moreover, this is going to be Indianapolis's last game without suspended defensive tackle Grover Stewart. I'll save you the numbers. You can read about it on SportsLine, but their metrics with and without him are very stark. They are not very good defending the run without old Grover flying around on the field. And look, I think Henry gets a good dose of work. I think he's had a massive, I don't have to think this, I know this, massive 3.3 yards after contact per rush. That's really been the bread and butter whenever he's had a good game. I think he continues to take on contact, shove it off like he does, and then you see him go and rip off big runs against this weak Indianapolis defense. So Henry over 62.5 rush yards. I saw it at -119. I would shop around on that price. Next one, Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's go from old, slower running back to young hotness in Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yes.
And his total is only 44.5 -115. We're banking on this explosive talent, taking advantage of an improved matchup. Already league average against the run. The Saints might play without Marcus May, without Cameron Jordan, without Pete Werner. Those last 2 guys graded very well in Pro Football Focus against the run. I would expect the Lions to take advantage. I think they're going to deploy both of their running backs, but I think they learned something 2 weeks ago when they gave Jahmyr Gibbs single-digit carries. The very next week, it was against Thanksgiving. It was a short week, double-digit carries. That's the world we want to live in with Jahmyr Gibbs. And over the last 3 weeks, with David Montgomery back in the fold for the Lions, Gibbs is averaging 11 carries per game. He's also averaging 5.1 yards per carry per game. So if he gets around 11 to 15 carries in this matchup, which is now more favorable than it is on paper because the Saints could be without some of their starters, I think he could easily go over. So I'm taking Gibbs over 44.5 rush yards. The last one, maybe this is the biggest one of all, Coach.
Oh, let's go.
Antonio Gibson over 11.5 rush yards.
Oh.
All right, listen, Antonio Gibson is not nearly as sexy of a name as Jahmyr Gibbs, and no one's really starting this guy in fantasy. And it's only sprinkle worthy because the number is so low. Gibson's gone over this week total each of his past 4 games. He also happened to play 1 more snap than Brian Robinson last Thursday. So it's almost a 50-50 split when the Commanders earn a game chasing points. You think they're going to be ahead and playing with a lead against the Dolphins? That would shock the pants off me. Any running back worth a darn should be able to get 12 yards on 4 carries in the National Football League. Gibson's had at least 4 carries in 3 straight games. Every single running back against the Dolphins that's had at least 4 carries, it's such a stupid stat. But every single one that's had at least 4 carries easily gets over 12 yards. That's really all there is to it. The number's too low. Gibson over 11.5 rush yards, -125.
Uncle Dave, don't ever, and I repeat, ever do that to me again. I do not want to think for even 1 second about you with your pants off, okay? Let's not do that again. No. Although apparently it didn't mess with the chat as much. They love the Gibbs pick. I'm thinking about you with your pants off. They're thinking about the Gibbs pick. What is this show coming to? What is this show coming to? You keep teasing that. We might be off the air before we're even on the air on CBS Network. Now, you guys ask me questions all the time. I try to answer as many as I can, but this one is always right. If you're always wondering, where do I get these experts' picks a full hour before the show? Well, it's SportsLine. It's the fastest growing sports betting community in the world. Use a promo code COACH, and I'll give you 60% off the quarterly plan. Do not text me, and then I got to text EC. Then he's got to text his boss. It's a whole big thing. It works. Just don't hit the monthly or the yearly. Hit the 3-month. What's crazy is that Buckets did not know that quarterly meant 3 months. I can't make that up. Now, it's true. It's true.
I'm shocked.
All right, EC, I'm coming over to you because it is now time for what I consider my favorite props of the week. I love receiving props because they can cash in one catch, most of them, unless it's a catch prop. Then it cannot. So, EC, let me come over to you because both of yours could do it technically, and we saw it last night with DK Metcalf. 1 catch, cashed his over. That's all it took. What do you like this week?
I don't know if we're casting this next player's over on 1 catch, Coach, but we'll give it a try. You know, Uncle Dave talked about the Washington Commanders. Well, I have a couple of Commanders props this week. We'll start with Curtis Samuel over 35.5 receiving yards at -120. So over their last 4 games, Miami plays zone more than 80% of the time. Curtis Samuel's first read share against zone, nearly 18%, and he has nearly a 14% target share. Last week against Dallas, he had a 12-target, 9-catch, 100-yard game. And now he's going up against a guy named Kader Kohou of the Dolphins, who gives up nearly an 85% catch rate and nearly 130 passer rating. Just to translate that, it's not very good. Curtis Samuel's getting 36 receiving yards. At least I'm betting on it, so I feel pretty good about that prop at -120. And then let's go to a guy who has actually been on a tear of late, and that is Michael Pittman Jr. of the Colts, over 72.5 receiving yards at -115. He has a 28.5% target share with Gardner Minshew and a whopping 37% first read share. Now, he only had 5 catches for 52 yards against them the first time, but in 4 of his last 6 games, he has had 12 or more targets. He has 80-plus yards in 4 of those 6 games, including 2 100-yard games. And excluding Carolina last week, the Titans have gotten torched by number 1 receivers. Deontay Johnson, if you want to call him Pittsburgh's number 1, 7 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown the other week. Mike Evans, 6, 143, and a touchdown, and 7 catches, 103 yards, and 2 touchdowns to Calvin Ridley. Not only do I think Michael Pittman will go over the 73 receiving yards, I think he'll score a touchdown as well. There's a same-game parlay opportunity for you on BetMGM.
You always have to bring us down, don't you, EC?
I can't help myself.
I know. Well, Ben, our man Ben, who's very, very smart, you guys know that, says, man, I can't wait for this to reach network TV. See, Ben, what we haven't told EC yet is that he's not allowed on television. So that would end his run here on the show.
I'm enjoying it while I can, and that's all that I worry about. Let's hit these props this week, and we're on to next week.
Hey, I like where your head's at, EC. I like where your head's at. Laser focused, as is Proppy. Proppy, let me come over to you, because I have felt the disrespect this week. But I'm not even an Eagles fan, so I can only imagine how you feel about everybody, including the sports books, thinking that the 49ers going on the road, favored by 3 in your house. So you know there's going to be one wide receiver that's also going to take that personally. Who am I talking about?
Talking about A.J. Brown, Coach, and we feel like Rodney Dangerfield, a real lack of respect this week, Coach, but we're going over 72.5 receiving yards for A.J. Brown, getting a hefty discount on this number for 2 reasons. One, A.J. Brown, after that blistering start to the season where he was going over 125 yards in 6 consecutive weeks, he has struggled over the last 3 weeks. He's failed to eclipse 66 yards, but watching him, I still believe everything's fine. The target share is still where it should be. He's still the focal point of the Eagles passing game. I think Jalen Hurts looks good as well, but he's also facing a very stout 49ers pass defense. So as a result, we're getting a hefty discount on this number, but I'm a sucker for a discount, Coach. I'm going to take it over 73.5. Even in a tough matchup, I feel like they're going to lean even heavier on A.J. Brown. We know Dallas Goedert was just ruled doubtful for the game, so it's going to be a highly, highly concentrated target share as well as Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. I also feel like the 49ers can push the Eagles into a high-volume passing attack there as well, so we could see an uptick in volume as far as Jalen Hurts' passing attempts are concerned. And the 49ers, despite being a very stout pass defense, are a pass funnel because teams try to keep up with them because of how efficiently they're able to score the football. So I like A.J. Brown a lot in this matchup, despite it being very difficult. And then would you like my other receiving prop, Coach?
I would love your other receiving prop.
Okay, we're going Logan Thomas over 3.5 receptions, tight end for the Commanders. As far as the Commanders are concerned, they're the highest volume passing offense in the NFL. If you look at Sam Howell's passing attempts this week, the line is set at 38.5. That is gargantuan. You rarely see a quarterback listed with that many passing attempts, but against the Miami Dolphins team who can certainly push and will push this Commanders team, I could easily see Sam Howell throwing for 40-plus times, and Logan Thomas is the closest thing that they have in Washington to a number 1 target. I know, obviously, they have a bevy of receivers there, Terry McLaurin, but as far as the percentage of Sam Howell's attempts, Logan Thomas actually commands the largest target share there. So he does get the majority of the work. Miami's also very good at guarding the back end of the field. They allow things over the middle, short parts of the field. That is where Logan Thomas primarily operates. He has a 6.7 A-dot average depth of target, and Miami's also pretty adept at getting quick pressure. So as a result, I think we're going to see Sam Howell have to get the ball out of his hands fairly quickly. They've struggled protecting him, and I think this matchup is just very conducive to Logan Thomas finding success over the middle of the field. That's why I like him to have at least 4 receptions in this game, Coach.
Yeah, don't you think that maybe the game script for the Commanders, because they're playing the Dolphins, will be ball control? And this is a guy that can certainly do that, yes?
Absolutely.
Love it. Next level right there. That's how you validate one next level capper to another, EC. That's how we do it. Now, there are tons of next level cappers all over the platforms at CBS. Of course, we're the best. But where can you catch them all? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. AB?
Well, you need the sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
Now, where people tend to get in trouble the most is with, well, what we like to call sexy picks. And those are with the sexy players, the quarterbacks, that make all the money that all the cheerleaders wanted in high school. But sometimes you got to be very, very careful because you can have lines that are just off based off of matchups. So, EC, as I come over to you, you just heard Proppy just talk all about the Commanders. Do you happen to like their quarterback this week?
You know, Coach, 4 Commanders props at least on the show this week. I mean, that's got to be a record for a team, at least this season.
Think so.
I'm going Sam Howell over 263.5 passing yards at minus 115. So through the first 12 weeks of the season, not including last night, who leads the NFL in passing yards? None other than Sam Howell. He has 300-plus yard games in 4 of his last 5. And as we have discussed in this game, we think Miami's going to go nuts against them. And the game flow might be in Sam Howell's favor. Plus, my man Spector's AI has him at 313.2, which is 50 yards above this number. Feel really good considering these trends, plus our AI model, that this over of 263.5 hits. And then finally, I love trends. That's what I'm all about, the trends, Coach. So if I told you a trend is 6 for 6 in the player's career, you can't argue with that, can you? CJ Stroud's over 1.5 passing touchdowns. A little juicy, minus 145, but he's 6 home games, 6 multi-touchdown passing efforts. How can you argue? Denver, on the other hand, they give up 13 touchdown passes in the first 4 weeks, only 6 since. But I'm not afraid of that. I'm going with the Stroud prop. He has 300 or more yards in each of his last 4 games. Oh, by the way, that same AI model says that he's going to throw 3.1 touchdown passes, which is a full touchdown over this number. I feel really good about it. Let's go Stroud over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
I love Frick, and I love the AI model. What a smart group they have over there. And I'm glad that you were able to work those into your analysis. Now, hardcore analysis in the chat, too. Zach says that was EC's problem in high school. But Big Cheesy, as always, has your back. He goes, EC always had girls wearing his Letterman's jacket. He was swatting them away like flies. Is that true?
Well, do you think I had a Letterman jacket? Come on. I mean, we all... Do you think I was competent enough to play a varsity sport? Let's be honest. I was the announcer for Chaparral High School, the PA announcer and the TV sports announcer. I don't think that surprises anyone, especially on this screen.
It does not. It does not. I will not pull out my Letterman's jacket to embarrass everybody. Multiple state championships, multiple Division I athletes that I played with in high school. But that was just a couple of years ago. Just a couple of years ago. Now, Dave, we already talked about the Texans game because the Broncos play the Texans. And I think there's been a negative connotation or the last year with Russell Wilson, but he's now playing like one of the best efficient quarterbacks in the entire NFL. What do you like on him this week?
I like him to take that efficiency and spin it up into big numbers for fantasy, but I'm really focused on a specific number for a player prop, and it's his pass attempts. Russell Wilson's going over 30.5 pass attempts at -113. I looked around this number. You can get it lower than 120. I would recommend you do so. He's averaging 29 attempts per game on the year. It's even lower in his past 6 at 26, but I think a lot of that has to do with the matchups that he's had. This one against a good Houston offense, there is serious shootout potential in this game. The total's at 47. That makes me think that there's going to be a lot of points scored. And if that's the case, I don't think it's going to be done with Javonte Williams running the ball. I think Russell Wilson is going to have to throw in this game. And quarterbacks have had to throw against Houston. 34.8 pass attempts per game over the balance of the season. I know a lot of that has to do with how opposing offenses are forced to throw because the Texans are putting up points. And I understand that Denver's defense is definitely improved, but to the point where they could absolutely shut down CJ Stroud. You can go ask EC, you can go talk to the AI model, and you know that that's not going to be the case. The thing that I love about Stroud, by the way, is that he makes big time throws, pressures on him, windows are tight, he gets it done. So even against this tough defense, I expect Houston to keep up its end of the bargain on offense, and that forces Russell Wilson to throw the ball just a little bit more. And that's why I'm going with Russell Wilson over 30.5 pass attempts. But I've got one more, Coach, because when you talk about sexy quarterbacks in the National Football League, they don't get any sexier than Will Levis.
I love it. Let's go.
Yeah, no one loves Will Levis. No one wants this, and I don't want it either. His attempt, we're taking the under on this one. 31.5 pass attempts, -117. He's been under this considerably in his past 2 games with 2 very different game scripts in those games. I think Derrick Henry gets rolling. I've already said what prop I like with Derrick Henry earlier in the show. If that happens, then Levis, by nature, won't have to throw too much. And I think Mike Vrabel would actually like that. On the other side of this game, they're playing the Colts. Indianapolis, already one of the league's top teams in rush attempts per game for their running backs. So this matchup could be shortened by both squads running the ball. 3 of the last 4 quarterbacks to take on the Colts, Coach, 31 or fewer pass attempts. That includes Baker Mayfield last week. So this is kind of what teams are doing against Indianapolis, running the football, shortening the game, slowing down the pace. I think Tennessee has the master's degree in that. And that means that Will Levis won't have to throw a ton. He's only exceeded 32 pass attempts twice in his 5 games as starter for the Tennessee Titans.
Dave, the respect that you are showing me right now, clearly when you were doing your handicapping today, you checked out my TikTok lock of the week, which is the Colts. And I didn't say exactly what you just said right there about Will Levis, but it was kind of in the vicinity. It was kind of similar to what you just said. I said he stinks lately, and that's why the Colts will win this week. Very similar. Yes,
just be careful using that term. When I used it a few weeks back, it went very badly for me.
Oh, he was that the 4 touchdown performance?
Was it? No. It was Devin Singletary. Playing like Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
He did look like a stunt on this show.
Dave, how can you pick against a guy that puts mayonnaise in his coffee?
He doesn't. So, this is something that I actually researched during the draft process. He did it one time. He did it as a dare. Same thing with eating the banana with the peel on it. Here, look, I've got one. Okay. By the way, it's disgusting when you eat a banana with peel on it. I did it on a different show. It's horrible. I do not recommend it. He doesn't do those types of things, but I think he's the type of guy where if you're like, hey, I dare you to do it, it's like, okay, cool, I'll do it. So, Will Levis, I dare you to not throw 32 passes on Sunday.
You know he's watching right now. He just walked out of the team meeting for Friday. The walkthrough's all over. He goes, man, I got to go catch that prop show from the early edge. By the way, speaking of idiots, me and Proppy last year, we're going to do the chip, the hot chip thing.
Yeah, sure.
We had like a year-long people didn't even know this. This is like I'm telling this for the first time. We had a year-long bet, and whoever lost, we were going to do it. And then we started seeing stories about everybody who was doing the chip, and there were some bad outcomes. So we decided privately, maybe we should change the bet, and we just never made another one. But I'm not tasting that chip that you can get it Mobile 6 in a package, and then oh man, what were me and Proppy thinking? Clearly, he must have just had the chip because he had to leave very, very quickly. All right. Now, you guys know how we end this show. It's different than every other. I like to ask my guys of the other plays on the show, which ones do they like the most? So, AB, if you don't mind throwing them up there. EC, when you look at what Proppy and Uncle Dave did today, what do you like?
Well, I'm going to start with Proppies. I love the Logan Thomas over 3.5 receptions. I mean, I'm all over Sam Howell's passing yards. They're going to have to be they're going to be throwing a ton. I think Thomas will get his 4 receptions, so I am all for it. As far as Uncle Dave's picks, I actually like most of them, but the Will Levis one, you know what? I'm on board with it. I like it. For Tennessee to have any chance against the Colts, Will Levis is not throwing the ball more than 30 times. They need to run with Derrick Henry, so I'm rolling with that. I think that is my favorite of the many great plays from Uncle Dave.
You have to turn it into a 30-minute game. That's what you have to do. You got to cut the game in half. And to do that, you can't pass the football. Uncle Dave, what do you like of EC and Proppy?
I think the Titans and the Colts both want to do that, and that just makes the prop all the better. And the correlated prop between the two of them, it should be a good parlay payout. If you decide to go that way, you could put a little sprinkle on that. Proppy and I had a conversation before the show about the Najee Harris prop. I love that one. That's actually my favorite prop of the week. So I'm going to say that that's my favorite from Proppy. And EC spoke to me when he was talking about Sam Howell, and he got into all the numbers, what he's been doing lately. And I know that Sam Howell has basically been a passing machine because the run game has been kind of mostly hit or miss. I did this with my hand, but really I should have just done this with my hand. It hasn't been good for Washington lately. And so the number just being 263.5, I know it's the Dolphins, and they're going to turn over Sam Howell at least once. I still think he can get to close to 280 yards. So that's my favorite one of what EC put up there.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you because I also believe that because they announced this week, there's a lot of reports out there that Ron Rivera, out of respect for him, they'll let him step down at the end of the season instead of doing it midseason, all that. So now I think they open up the playbook more than what they have and just say, hey, let's try to win these last games for Ron Rivera. And that would mean really opening the playbook up against a team that also wants to score 40 points.
They're not playing for Ron Rivera. They already know he's a lame duck coach. Sam Howell's playing for his job to be a starting quarterback in the NFL going forward. They don't care about Ron
Rivera. Never been on a team. Never been on a team.
True.
You don't understand what it's like when you.
I've been on slow pitch softball. That's what I've done.
You would be the guy that just shows up with the 2 cases trying to get everybody to like him. Hey, everybody, you got Budweiser and Bud Light. That's you, EC. But I would have loved to have you on my team. Would have loved
cheap for that. Too cheap.
I need somebody to carry the bat bag. All right. Do not forget, you want to play these props when they're given out. We don't give them out on Sunday for a reason because my guys move the lines. Do not tweet at me. Do not text me. Say, Coach, that was 8 yards ago. We gave them to you on Friday. Period. End of story. With all that being said, 2 big shows on Sunday, noon Eastern, live from Florida, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time as well. We're going to get you set for all the action in the NFL. But in the meantime, have a great Saturday. Enjoy Championship Saturday. EC, how do you feel about that Bo Nix plus 140 Heisman ticket?
I think we can take it to the pay window right now because we know what's happening tonight, Coach. Oregon, big.
And with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know, like he said, what that is.